So you wanna fall for the bad guy. So you wanna fall, get mad high. So confess your love for me, testify.
Welcome back, everybody. This is episode 3 of the Bad Guy Podcast. I want to give a huge shout out and thank you to everybody who tuned in to episodes 1 and 2 when I dropped them. I got a lot of great feedback, a lot of constructive criticism, tips, all type of good stuff. And that's the reason why I do it. I do it for the people who enjoy what it is I say. If you learned a little something, people who said it was informative, that's literally the only reason why I choose to do it. And the feedback and you guys interacting with me, tuning in, that's what keeps me going. So huge shout out to everybody else. This episode particularly is sparked by the whole Megan Thee Stallion, Tory Lanez thing. Because there's a lot of underlying things that go into that. But for just to address the situation, allegedly, everything's allegations. Tory Lanez shot, allegedly, Megan Thee Stallion in both of her feet. They got into an argument, a fight, whatever you want to say, in the car leaving a party. And whatever happened. She said she got shot in the feet. Went on Instagram Live, said this nigga did it. He never said nothing. But, you know, the situation was a situation because it's been kind of some time since it passed. But what I see now, since he's dropped his little album, mixtape, EP, whatever you want, I don't know what it was. Man, the conspiracy theories that I've been hearing, I heard so many. I've had like 4 or 5 different conversations with people who say, "Well, bro, look, what if he ain't do it? You know, what if he had the gun and him and her and the girl was fighting over it and the gun went off and shot her in both the feet? Or what if this and what if that and blah, 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 and they unfollowed each other. And so I've heard everything. I've heard every little thing. And then there's the other crowd that's like, well, we just don't know all the facts, so we need to stay out of it. I'm not saying nothing. Then there's the other group, I still like his music, so I ain't saying nothing. You know, it's all equally fair because it's all speculation, but my whole thing is just about the timing of it all on top of the trends of our society could not be any worse. We at a point now where black people in general as a whole probably are being the loudest we've ever been in terms of our rights and treatment and how to be treated. But part of that is also how we treat each other, and how we treat the black women is terrible. That's really the only way to sum it up. You know, you could call it whatever you want, but it's terrible. And the argument I had when the first conversation came up was they was telling me, you know, it's not impossible that they was fighting over the gun and it just went off and blah, 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 blah. And, you know, it's not impossible. Don't rule it out until we get all the facts and all that. And I said, wow, look at how far it is that we got to go just to make a man look innocent. Like, then I was like, this is exactly what they do when a black man gets killed on camera. You know, hands up, don't have nothing in his hand, get shot. To you and me, we're just like, all right, what else, you know? And this isn't as clear cut as that, but it's along the same lines, you know. And then the people come along on Twitter, the people who come along on the news, well, we have to wait until we hear all the details. Yeah, it looks bad on camera, but we have to wait you're doing the exact same thing to them, to women, to Megan Thee Stallion in particular. That's what you're doing. You're doing that to her in a lesser degree. And that's what I've always tried to say when it comes down to movements and like the principles behind that movement. You don't fundamentally believe in being pro-black if you are not pro-woman, as well as pro-gay. We got to throw that one in there as well. But you can't call yourself pro-black, because if you truly, truly believe in the fundamentals of what it means to be pro-black, then you understand that the roots of being pro-woman are the exact same. You know, the circumstances differ, but the problem is the same. And what I don't get is how you can be pro-black and then turn around and treat a black woman this way. And it's just like, it goes into the misogyny that's rooted in our community. And my friends now, we have a joke where we talk about misandry, whereas misandry is the opposite of misogyny. It's the hatred of men. But that's more of a joke, you know, because pay the bill, oh, misandry, or blah, 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 misandry. Shout out to Emil. But misogyny is a real problem. And I think that where it comes from is that it's rooted in our culture now because it comes from tradition. And I always say it's tradition. Black people in America, we have no American tradition. There should not be any. There's none that exists for us because all we did was get it from someone else. And that someone else group came up with those traditions when you weren't even a human being. So we should not be following any traditions, but we do. And I think that's where it came from. It was rooted out of those traditions, you know, the typical household of what happened, especially now in the modern world, 40s, 50s, 60s. Our treatment of women, that's when it really exploded, the modern world. And black people specifically have no choice but to latch on to the black men have to latch on to that because you think as a black man, it don't get much worse. We see that now. You know, it's pretty tough. But you got to think about what it's like to be a black woman. To me, I think that the pecking order in American society goes white man, white woman, black man, black woman. If you just want to talk about black and white. That's pretty much how it just breaks down. And my theory that goes towards our whole treatment of women and why we treat women this way and why they get on the internet and call us the weakest link and blah, blah, blah. But it's strictly out of our loyalty to manhood, to being a man, especially as a black man. Because at the end of the day, they treat you terrible. You get harassed on the walk to the store. When you get in the store, you get followed. You walk out the store, you get harassed again. You go home, you probably get harassed there. It's like, you think as a black man, I can't catch a break. You know, you go to work, they talk to you crazy. They treat you like less. But then it's like, you have to remember that that black woman on the other side of you deals with all of the exact same things just from her race alone, and then has to deal with the other things that you don't have to deal with because of her sex alone. So when you was getting harassed for just being black, maybe it's the one day she caught a break from getting harassed from being black, but now she's getting harassed for being a woman. Walking down the street, somebody touch on her, say something crazy to her, blah, blah, blah. So it's double fold at all times. So the one day you get a break and I had a good day, she probably didn't get, she has 50% of your good days. So our loyalty to being a man is our only real strength of power, sense of power in America. It's like the power structure. We've learned everything from power structures. The first one is white. The second one is man. We are not white, so you are a man. That's where your power comes from. And the only person that you can inflict that power on, 9 times out of 10, is gonna be the black woman. You're not flexing your muscle on a white woman because you know that's no bueno. We don't do that in America because you know what happens to you. You're also not flexing your muscle on a white man because they have the power. So who's left? The black woman. And the treatment that they get from us, in my opinion, is of no other reason than because strictly that you're a man. And we're following the rules. And it's like how they say hurt people hurt people. You got out and got talked too crazy like a boy. They boyed you all day. So do this boy, grab this boy. Not in that sense, but, you know, figuratively. And you got home and you just want to feel like the man now. So now where my dinner at? You know, and I'm being extreme, but you see the lines that I'm drawing. And Megan Thee Stallion is the same way. You just inherently gonna treat your women to a lesser degree. They say something, you don't quite believe them. You know, she tells you, I got shot. Said what happened, said who did it. And you went to the furthest degree to come up with a conspiracy theory. Maybe they was fighting over the gun. It don't matter. He pulled the gun. That's it. That's all I need to hear. Whether who shot her with his gun, what happened don't matter. That's a grown man pulled a gun on a grown woman. Sound like a bitch to me. You know what I'm saying? That's just, there's no other way to justify it. Whatever he put in his music, I didn't hear it, but whatever he put in it, there's no way to justify it. And then they was telling me, oh, well, you know, what if he's just innocent? His camp saying, you know, when y'all hear the truth, y'all gonna issue apologies, blah, blah, blah. Don't try to apologize. It really don't matter. It really don't matter. None of it matters. Because if you're innocent, you're gonna say that. In my opinion, you know, yes, it's a legal case. You can't just speak on it. But if you're innocent, professing your innocence is not going to hurt your legal case if you're actually innocent. So if you have some sort of facts or other information that the public does not have access to, and you know for a fact that you are innocent, you would have at least said, I can't give y'all the facts, but I'm innocent. You know, you sitting there not saying much of anything and playing the social media games, that's, you get no respect. And for the men who go the whole 9 yards to try to profess another man's innocence when they don't even know anything about it, you know, no one knows anything besides the people who was in that car. So for you to go hard up behind the innocence when you know nothing is just say that you just don't want her to be right in the situation, because there's far more things in her defense than there is in his. And it's just like, for you to go against that is just strictly a case of being loyal to your manhood. You don't want to see another man take a L because he's a black man, and you're going to say, well, it's a black man, blah, blah. Well, that's a black woman, you know? And then that is what's so crazy to me about our follower culture today, is that protect black women was such a big trend. It was a huge trend. I saw everybody doing it. Everybody was posting. And posting, I think, is going to be the downfall of our society, because you think it means something. The black squares for Blackout Day on what, June 2nd, June 7th, it don't mean nothing. All you do is put something on Instagram. You don't actually care about it. Protect black women don't actually mean nothing if you double back and you're not actually caring about black women when they're asking to be protected, or even just asking to be believed. She come up with a story and say, this is what happened. I need y'all's support. I need y'all to believe me. This is what happened. And they playing with me. And y'all come up with conspiracy theories. That's the textbook definition of not protecting black women, going against her word when she is telling you, this is my word. And everybody else says, well, what about the people who lie? You know, fake rape allegations, which that's valid. It's very valid. But it's 2%. 2% of all allegations of rape are false, provably false, which I think is dangerous. And those who lie about it, yeah, they should deal with whatever repercussions they have for that. But like I said, your loyalty to manhood has you so fixated on the 2% that you're willing to ignore the 98%. So let's say out of 100 people, 98 people were raped and 2 lied. You like, well, what about them 2? That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. If you are willing to look at them other 98 that got hurt, let's say 90 people got shot and 2 made up this long fabricated story. And you like, well, them 2 people lied. Fuck the other 98, huh? Just fuck them. We're just not even going to listen to their story. We're not going to do nothing about it. We're not going to, do anything, because you're so fixated on the 2% because you're like, yeah, them 2 men are innocent and I knew it. That's why I don't listen to y'all. Y'all be lying, blah, blah, blah. But it's like, what about the 98? Yes, the 2 is bad, but what about the 98? And that's my whole point of everything that I was going to say about the Megan Thee Stallion thing, is everybody immediately jumped to the 2% just because it was a man. If you defended Tory Lanez, there's really no justification for it. And if you have another form of justification that I haven't said here, or that makes sense, then drop it in a comment, get at me on Instagram, whatever. Because I want to know, I want to hear it genuinely. I want to hear it and see, like, what am I missing? Because I don't follow everything like that, the celebrity news, tightly. But it's just when it's like, when it relates to a societal problem, that's when I look into it. And this is a societal problem, because it happens every time there is a man versus woman, especially when there's 2 people on an equal status. I think Megan Thee Stallion, in terms of popularity, is just as popular as Tory Lanez, if not bigger. But, you're still going to knock her down. Y'all still equate her to just, she just want to shake ass and lie all day. It's funny as jokes, but then you got to think about it. How far do we take jokes? You can joke like that with somebody who understands. If I knew I was talking to somebody who was, as pro-black and pro-woman, and then you just make a little joke, like a locker room type joke, maybe it's okay at that point, but really at the end of the day, it's never really okay, but it's just part of the world that we live in. But it's just, what's the justification for it? There is none, besides the fact that you just don't respect black women. It was a trend. And so you followed the trend, but then when it got real, your true colors showed. You're not protecting no black woman, because unless they're yours. And that's the other bad part about it. If you're only protecting your mama, your sister, your girlfriend, you're not protecting black women. You're just protecting the people you love. Megan Thee Stallion, you don't know her from a can of paint. Neither do I. But that's what protect black women means. You can protect that woman when you don't know her from a can of paint because she's a black woman. She's an extension of you and your community. But it's a whole bigger umbrella that it fits under. And it's all, I'll go back to what I mentioned in episode 2 about our learned behaviors. We learned all of this from people who wanted you to learn that. Because if they wanted you to respect women, they would have did it to their women. But they have a different set of rules than we do. So that's why I say we should not be following their rules. It's the same way we learned black violence on each other. And I referenced that one when I was sitting with Alex in episode 1. And I'm actually going to do another episode on it. But black violence is all learned because I sit down and I think about it. When back in the day, a black man step out of line, what they doing to that black man? If it's recent 1900s, they're going to lynch him. If it's before 1900s, slavery days, they're going to whip the shit out you. They're going to lock you up in brutal chains. Or you step out of line as a slave, they're going to rape your wife. Violence against the woman is learned. It's like a chess piece against the man. So it's the same way how you punish a black man on the street who step out against you or he played with you. You got to beat him up, or he played with you, you got to shoot him, or, he violated you, you got to shoot him. The same way, or a black woman play with you, do what you want against her now, because at the end of the day, she's just a black woman. And it's not that you're saying that out loud, but in the back of your head, if you're violating black women and not protecting black women, it's that learned behavior that's coming out. And it's your loyalty to being a man, because it's like, it's all fun and games until y'all are like this. And then it's man versus woman. Even when y'all are actually black, y'all still gonna draw that line. Because that's the only line you know. So it's not black and black anymore. You're not looking at that woman as a black peer, as a black equal. You're looking at her as, you're a woman, and you're going to respect me because I'm the man. And when you're a little guy like Tory Lanez, and there's a big woman like Megan Thee Stallion, you'll probably get hurt. It makes sense that she gets shot because I'm the man and she playing with me, so you shoot her. That's the way I see it. I could be wrong. If I am wrong, I have no problem apologizing to Tory Lanez. Not like he give a fuck what I got to say anyway, but, it's the principles behind it. But we're so stuck on the men versus women thing. We're so stuck on it. And at the end of the day, it's really just because men don't want to see women as our equals. And it's the same way you can't get upset when white people treat you like that if you treat women like that, because they don't want to see you as their equal. And you clinging to that little bit of power that really don't mean nothing at the end of the day, is what's going to stop us from having what it is that we could have as our own community. Like the day that we stop having them dumbass arguments about who knows what on the internet, about black men and black women and dogging each other and black bitch and ain't shit nigga, blah, blah, blah. When we stop that, you'll see the difference. It's a very clear difference, but we're so far away from stopping that is the problem. And it leads me to another, I saw a documentary on Netflix that this unlocked a whole new world for me that I didn't even know existed. It's a movement. If you haven't heard of it, you should go look it up. It's called the men's rights movement. And when I saw, it's called Outside Man is the documentary. The show is called Outside Man by Reggie Yates, but there was one episode on men's rights that really, like I said, it unlocked a whole new world for me that I had no idea existed. And it really shocked me. It shocked me because I had no idea that people felt like that. Men did. And because I'm a man and I never felt like that. And I don't think that I'm a feminine guy. I don't think that I'm soft by any means or nothing like that. I just don't even think about the things that they was thinking about. And I don't know the reasons behind that. Maybe it was how we was brought up or whatever. But in Outside Man, it's a British guy, Reggie Yates. He goes and he's interviewing these notorious men's rights activists. And it sounds crazy to talk about because you would think, what rights don't men have? But there's a legitimate movement following behind this. It's a bunch of guys saying that the double standards in society have flipped and men are now the ones being attacked the same way that the conservatives, and they talk about white people are under attack. They're saying this for men. They're saying that men are under attack. Men get raped too. Men die, blah, 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 in work unions. You really have to go watch it. I can't sit here and do it justice to what they was claiming. But it was so wild to me. It was so wild to me to just watch this. And there was a young guy on there. He might have been like 18. He was going so hard. And they attacked the feminists. They attack them specifically. They say feminists are crazy, they're illogical, blah, blah, blah. And I think some feminists probably are that way. But they're just saying that all the female problems are made up, pretty much. That's kind of what they were saying. Or there was another guy on there, his name was Roosh, and he was just, under the guise that he was writing books to teach men how to pick up women, but then Reggie Yates went to his whatever you want to call it, sermon for men, and all the men want to blur their face out. So they know they was wrong. But then he was just kind of bashing women, making crazy jokes, and all of it was wild. And I appreciate what Reggie Yates was doing, interviewing them, drawing attention to it. But the thing that I think was lacking was that he was face to face with all of them, face to face with these men who was saying these, whatever you want to call it, things about women and their problems versus male problems. And the thing that where I think Reggie Yates missed the mark completely by 100 yards is that he never once addressed, as far as I can see on camera, he might have done it off camera, but he never once addressed these men man to man and like stepped to them and told them like, you tripping, you wild, like stop that shit. He never once said that. And that's what kind of shows me, it goes back to that loyalty to manhood. Like, okay, I hear you doing XYZ, saying XYZ about all these women, and I think it's wrong, but I'm not about to tell you I think it's wrong because you're still a man at the end of the day. And I'm a man too, and we're on the same team. That's no different from the police thinking you shouldn't have shot that nigga, but I'm not about to say nothing because we both police. Yes, the severity is different, but the principle is the exact same. And that's really what it comes down to when it comes down to women's rights, is that it's not their problem to fix. It's their problem, but it's not their responsibility to fix it. Because the things that happen to them aren't done by them. The same thing with black people. It's not our responsibility to stop racism. We are not oppressing us. Someone else is. It's their responsibility ultimately to stop, or our responsibility to get them to stop. But in the women's rights movement, it's a little harder because we hold all the power. White people hold all the power. They're not just going to give it up for no reason. You're not just going to walk down the street and just give up whatever little sense of entitlement you have as a man, unless you had a perfectly justified reason, which we can't do that with logic when you're talking about power and egos. But the whole point of what Reggie Yates was doing, I think, was negated. Because at the end of the day, yes, you brought awareness, but you left it up to the viewer to make their own decision about it. So all you did was give their side a platform. At the end of the day, really, you gave them a platform to speak on how they felt about men's rights versus women's rights, which is obviously skewed, and it wasn't an equal platform. And then not only that, you didn't condemn nothing they said until it was you and the one-on-one. You know, you interviewed the two guys, and yeah, you making little sarcastic jokes here and there, but then okay, yeah, nice, and you shake their hand, and it's respect. It's a lot of love, a lot of respect. Then you walk out, then you get in the car, and you're like, that's disgusting, that's sick, that's blah blah blah. And that's, it's cute, but why you didn't say that to that man's face? Because now he think he got your respect. Locker room talk is cool as long as it's harmless. Oh, she look good, blah blah blah. But when you start going far, that's when someone has to be like, let's not. And everybody's done it. Everybody's guilty of it because nobody's perfect. But when it's being preached to these mass groups like that, and they making videos and putting it on the internet, and then you are going to do a Netflix special about it and then put it up and you're shaking their hand, it's all about the subliminal cues, the learned behavior, the mental conditioning that you're not unequivocally showing everybody that this is wrong. And even when, I get it, you're a journalist. Journalists are supposed to be impartial. But look at where that's got us. You know, you got people out here thinking men's rights is real, which there are things that happen to men, but you have to dig and trace back to the original source. All men's problems essentially came from male actions. I know it's no fun to admit when you're the guy saying it, but it's the truth. Women's problems don't come from women. No woman said we should start rape. I think that's cool. Like, no woman said that. They did not start with them. Women, all the things that happen with women's clothing, the wage gap, gender norms, none of that was decided by women, for women. Paying for tampons, all that kind of stuff, that wasn't decided by them. That's what they want. And the things, there's another, not documentary, but there's a YouTube channel with these two dudes called Abba and Preach. And it's just, they clowns. Both of them just clowns. And they're so blatantly sexist. And they watch other videos of like people attacking the male-female argument from both sides. They watch it from both sides, but then they put their, it's like reaction videos. They put their 2 cents in. And there's really no basis to it. They're just like, everything, incels. That's all they are, incels. And if you don't know what an incel is, it's somebody who's involuntarily celibate. Like, you're so repulsive that you keep repulsing women because they already didn't want you. That's what they are. It's two dudes, look them up. And no disrespect to them, but it's just like, y'all wilding. Y'all wilding so much, and all you do is talk about women all day long. Like, you don't got nothing better to do. And it's never in a positive light. And it's black, and for them, it's not just it's not a black women thing. They do it to all women. And there was an episode where they were sitting down, and there was this video of people. It was 4 women, 4 men, or maybe 3 and 3, and they were going back and forth on the certain rights that one group has that another group doesn't. And if they agree, they all come sit down, and they're supposed to be arguing it. But I couldn't help but notice that all the points that the men were arguing, they are all valid. No side is invalid, but it's just like one side is extreme and one side is optional, it feels like. Like, men's rights are inconvenient. That's the way I would put it. Men's rights are inconvenient. Women's rights are violent. Like, these women are dying. And they're like, oh, men die too. Men are more likely to die at work, working labor jobs. That's a job. You picked that job. Nobody put a gun to your head. Nobody pulled down your underwear and made you work that job. You walked in there, signed up for a union, and died. Your actions. A woman walking down the street has no control of somebody snatching her up. You see what I'm saying? There's a very, very big difference. And there's all these other type things men are more likely to die from, and then they would name something. But it's like, they're more, what they're more likely to die from is just a part of life. It's a part of their job that they signed up for. It's a part of life that could happen to either side, not based on one person's actions. But what the women were saying, and they so smart with it, they pick and choose who they wanted to interview. They weren't picking the most eloquent women to talk about their side. So obviously the men was going to overpower them. And they're speaking over them. They was doing all kind of other little things. And I'm just like, man, if only they had more men speaking out on their side. You know, you're not going to speak over a man who you see as your equal. Like Reggie Yates, they was never interrupting each other. It was, I'm listening to you. I'm listening to you. Then it's my turn to talk. Okay, you're listening to me. Even though there are two opinions, never once met in the middle, but it's a respect there from man to man. But then when it's man to woman, the body language changes. Your arms are folded. You cut them off. And if they're not making a perfect case, it's automatically invalid. There was, on the I've Been Preach YouTube channel, there was the lady was saying, she said about 6 things that were valid. And then when they asked her, well, what's your number? Show me the evidence. She said, well, I don't have evidence. And they went crazy. They loved it. They went crazy. And they was like, everything you say is invalid. Everything you say automatically invalid because we got numbers and you don't. And I'm just like, damn, son. That's tough. That's tough because that's exactly what black people are treated like as a whole. So it's like, damn, imagine being a black woman. If you don't see all of the parallels through all the different movements, then you're either just not capable of doing it or you're just choosing not to. Either way, you're fucking up a bigger picture that we could all be moving towards. And it's mostly a male thing, but there's a lot of women out there, because when Megan Thee Stallion and Cardi B dropped WAP, I tweeted back before my Twitter was suspended. I keep throwing that out there. Unsuspend me, Twitter. I tweeted what men are doing to WAP is what the white people do to our protests. And some people got the analogy, but most people didn't. And they were like, that's so completely different. Well, you don't even know what you're talking about. And it's just like, yeah, it's very different because of the severity, but the principles behind what we did were the exact same. When black people went out in the streets and said, let's not even talk about the streets. Let's go back to where it all kind of bubbled up. When Colin Kaepernick took a knee and said, with his own mouth, said, I'm protesting police brutality. They said, he's protesting the flag. Oh, disgusting. Get him out of here. And everybody else is like, that's literally not what he said. They dropped WAP. It's not even about what they said. Women were saying, we like this for us. We're not shaking ass to be sexy. We shaking ass because we like shaking ass. That's it. We want to own our own bodies, our own sexuality, our own freedoms without having no man's 2 cents on it. That's what the mass, I guess, feedback through social media, at least that I could see, was about that. And the reaction that I saw from black men and white men and some women too was saying, oh, this is a terrible influence because y'all just want to be hoes. It's the principles of the two are the exact same. One person told you this is what I intend with this message, and you said, that's not how I see it. And I get it, your perception is your reality, but it's like, if I'm telling you what the actual reality is, I'm the creator of this, your perception doesn't matter. Like, your opinion is valid, I guess, but you can't tell me what it is that I'm trying to do. So as a man, you can't tell a woman what it is she's trying to do with her movement. The same way as a white person, you can't tell a black person how to have their movement. And it's frustrating because it's like, I can kind of see this like utopia that we could live in, but it's just a large group of people who just refuse. They just refuse to, that's just not how it's supposed to be. And it's mostly the older, traditional, or the young people who still follow, I was raised Christian, or I was raised old school. And it's just like, for what? You following traditions, them rules was written when you wasn't even a human. They didn't like you. They integrated because they had to. Without them, you wouldn't even be knowing none of that stuff. But look where you learned it from. Why are you following that? Look how they treated you. Why are you treating anybody else how they treated you? And it's just like, maybe it's an emotional intelligence thing, a mental age, to where it'll just grow with age. But it's like, that's got to stop now, yesterday. It has to stop because people are getting hurt. Megan Thee Stallion was lucky to get shot in her feet. Then I heard people saying she didn't even get shot. I didn't even see blood coming out her feet in the videos, and she did a music video. The woman told you she got shot. God damn, what else do you want? But people are getting hurt. Under the impression that she did get shot, she's lucky that she got hit below the knees. You know, how many times you've seen somebody get shot and die from a man or from anybody, from white on black violence, police violence? You know, people are dying. So it's just like, a woman's life was in jeopardy, and your first instinct was to write it off or to go full conspiracy theorist mode. Same people who hate conspiracy theorists when it comes to the government, you came up with one to justify why a man would shoot a woman or to profess his innocence when he hasn't professed his own innocence. That's all I'm trying to say. And kind of what put all this in the forefront of my mind, I had a long conversation with a friend of mine in Dallas. And she was just asking from the perspective of a black woman. She was like, well, how do you see black women? And I told her my opinion. And she was like, okay. I could kind of tell in her initial response that she was like, yeah, that sound good. And she was like, okay, but what's your plans on how to get other men to say what it is that you just said? And I couldn't even be mad at her for reacting to me like that, because after seeing how many people posted Tory Lanez a screenshot of the songs he released with the eyes, or like, ooh, it's getting spicy, or like, ooh, what if this? I couldn't even be upset with her, because that showed me that protect black women and these people's opinions. I saw so many think pieces on black women and how to protect them. Then the same people was posting Tory Lanez stuff. It showed me that it was all a trend, or it's like a persona. It's a thing to do for the internet because other people are doing it. So she was like, so tell me some action, because everybody posting to tell me some action. So I told her what I was like, it's about men on a platform, whatever it is that platform is, whether it's you one-to-one with your partner, or if you're a celebrity talking in the positivity of black women, all black women, that's what it has to be. It starts with how we look at them. And I'm not trying to speak for black women or even to black women, because that's not my place. I'm not a black woman. But I'm speaking to the black men, really. And white men, because y'all need to hear this too, but mostly the black men, because it's our issue at the forefront. This is for us. It's not really their problem to deal with. It's our problem to deal with. And it takes every person to talk to another person that may have a different view to them than them, because that's where it starts. I told her it starts with our perceptions and the conditions of everybody. We have to take every black woman, lift them up, praise them to the same extent that you would praise a light-skinned curly-haired woman, to the same extent that you would praise a foreign woman, to the same extent that you would praise a white woman with hips or lips. You know, it starts with the black woman. And not just a praise to where it's just like you just giving them some credit for nowhere, but like genuine praise. And I think the genuine part is the hardest part about it, because of the trends of all now. So it doesn't feel genuine anymore when you just post a random black woman. Okay, well, you post to protect black women, and you also posted Tory Lanez was innocent. So it's like it kind of negates itself. And I don't think there's any problem with the other skin tones or races, but it's about treating everybody the exact same. And if you prefer one, still treating the ones that you don't prefer the same. That, I think, is the first one we have to address. It's cool. If you just like curly hair, just say that. I like curly hair. Don't say I don't want no nappy headed bitch. That's the problem. If you just are attracted to fair skinned women, just say that's just what I like. But that woman is beautiful too. I'm just not attracted to her. You know, if you can address the why behind it, then that's a personal thing for you. But you don't have to down anybody. And there's so many downs, there's song lyrics, how they look in the movies. You know, you never see the black women, not the mixed women. Like, you never see the black women. And we're all black people, but the darker skinned black women with coarse hair or 4C hair, they're always the angry black woman in the movie, or when they treat it bad somewhere and then they react, or they got the attitude on the show, or blah, blah. It's the perceptions. It's the conditioning. It's that as well. We're not Hollywood producers, but that's part of it. We got to have them taking some responsibility, giving black women like Viola Davis and Lupita them roles where it's not a role rooted in their blackness. It's just a black woman playing a fire-ass role and killing it. Because that's what a regular actress would do, or any other actress, not to call them irregular, but any other actress would do, is that. It has to just be normal. And I hate the word normalize, but you have to normalize it. For so long, the black woman is taboo because everybody wants to fuck the black woman. Everybody does, but nobody wants to be with the black woman. That's how slavery got. That's how we got mixed people. They loved them, but they didn't want to love them. And that has trickled down so many years into our society now. But still, you love a big booty girl walking out the club, but you're not going to take her home to your mama. The reasoning behind that is a little deeper than this, but that's just where it goes. And the men playing the victim, that has to stop. Spinning it back in your favor just because blah, blah, blah. And we all do it. I do it too. I do it as a joke, but it's like I'm starting to understand that what I can take in as a joke, I shouldn't necessarily put that out, because the next person may not be able to differentiate and compartmentalize. Like, oh yeah, this is a joke, but in real life, this is serious. Like when it comes down to like paying for things and like them Twitter arguments and stuff, I think they're entertaining to a certain extent, but they're exhausting. But they're exhausting when I see that people are taking them seriously. If y'all just want to have some lighthearted back and forth, is life, is what we do. But I'm starting to see that it's not a joke to everybody. What's a joke to me is not a joke to everybody. Because I understand this in real life. The internet is not real life. But I understand these problems in real life and the severity of them. So I think it takes me and the other black men who do, and other black men who are on the fence or whatever, to help everybody understand what it is that we're really dealing with. Because black women have been trying the same way black people have been trying. They've been singing their problems for a long time, but it's not up to them to fix them. It's up to the other group to fix them. So that's really what it comes down to at the end of the day. Men's rights, they exist. Let's work on that. We could work on it together if we would be together. That's the ultimate problem. But at the end of the day, men's rights really don't exist. It's usually a product of us. It's not systemic. You know, we don't have systems working against us. How black people have systems working against us. Men don't have things that block men out of anything or hurt men. The laws don't go against men specifically. They might go against you in your case individually, and you think, well, a woman would have got blah, blah, blah. And I think the only court system that goes in a woman's favor where they may not be correct is probably like family and child court. But, you know, that's personal. Those are personal issues. We're talking life or death, health, violent crimes. There are no systems that go against men alone. Black men, yes. Regular, just men walking down the street, you know, they're not going to discriminate against you just because you're a man. So I think we got to stop that one completely. You know, say it as a joke. You know, men's rights, Miss Andrew, I scream it all the time. Somebody tell me something, that's Miss Andrew. But, you know, we have to stop. That got to stop because we hurting people with it. And you're not hurting people personally, I hope. But there are people who are getting hurt. And your justification of it is not making it any better. Because if you justify it, there's somebody else. You got to always think about the next person. And that's why platforms are so big. You have to use your platform to do what's right and what's wrong. Not what benefits you, but just what benefits everybody. As long as nobody's getting hurt, do whatever you want. That should be the rules. The rules should be like, it's a free country, First Amendment, as long as no one is being hurt by it. You are free to do whatever you want. But when you start to hurt someone or someone else's well-being, mental health, physical health, emotional health is in jeopardy, then it should not be free to do whatever you want. But it's up to the men to just put a cap on that. And when we decide to do it, then black women, they've already been fighting for us. But when I tell you they're going to turn that bitch up to another notch, if black men and black women was on one accord, we could shake up a lot more than what we do now. Way more. But we fighting each other right now. And we got to let go of the light skin, dark skin, and just be one. Just be black together. Let's just be black people. And when we do that, I guarantee you, we're going to change something. But that's step one. And when we all decide to make that first step, we're going to see it. But I'm not in charge of when we do make that step. I'm just, don't shoot the messenger. But I know a lot of men not going to like this episode because I'm talking to the men. But it's the facts. And it's just really how we treat them is not cool. It's not okay. And you can't just do it with your immediate circle. Oh, I got a sister. That's not good enough. Because if you didn't have a sister, what you would do? Oh, I got a mama. We all do. If you didn't have a black mama, how would you treat women? You know what I'm saying? You had to treat everybody like that. So that next woman on the street, when she looks scared or something, just, I got you. Or whatever. She at the club getting harassed, was down. It's easy. It's so easy. It's so easy. And then for you, when all you worried about is getting you, women, if you would protect women naturally, women would be drawn to you more. And don't use it for that sense, but that's just, if you're going out your way to help women, they're going to go out of their way for you. So they don't have to be drawn to you sexually, but they're gonna go out their way for you. Black women want to go out their way for us. They just feel like they can't trust us because we fuck over them. So, we could all be happy. This is a matter when we want them to be happy, then we can all be happy. It's simple. I think it's really simple. But that's really the end of it for real. That's all I got. Thank y'all for tuning in. Make sure you like, subscribe, follow me on Instagram at the Bad Guy Podcast, and I will catch y'all next episode. Thank you.
So the bad guy. So you supposed to be the good girl.